Infamous is written and directed by Joshua Caldwell, and it stars Bella Thorne, Jake Manley, and among others, and also Marissa Coughlan. And the uh, in this movie, it deals with a girl who basically lives with her mother and her boyfriend, and she's pretty much one of those. She's basically fascinated with social media and stuff. And one night, she basically comes to her attention where she gets up, getting in a fight with somebody, and it basically break records on social media, and starts to get her more into wanting to do more of like getting followers and stuff. And then one day, she gets involved with this guy named Dean, who's in town, and not going to spoil anything, but there's an unexpected circumstance that happens to where they end up having to, after they get to know each other and they pretty much cross paths in one night, they end up having to go on the run out of town after an event happens. We'll leave it there because I'm not trying to spoil anything, but basically it becomes a tale of a modern day Bonnie and Clyde type of story. And it deals with them pretty much going on the run. And
I'd like to say it's more of a Bonnie Clyde, Spring Breakers, and Mallory and Mike, or whatever his name was, from Natural Born, Mickey and Mallory from Natural Born Killers. So it's kind of like a mix of three of those. What I mean by Spring Breakers, it has the bright color Miami type of Vice type of look with the bright neon colors and colorfulness of what they wear, and something like the shit in the background.
Yeah. And now, this no, here's a little backstory. Now, this is a film that, believe it or not, I had no idea about necessarily. Like, I heard of it because I remember about a month ago or so that it was planned to drive-in with a film with Becky as a drive-in movie, and it kind of made me wonder, like, what the hell is this movie? And I didn't see any trailers of it, and from the poster, I kind of looked like from the vibe they were going for. At first I thought they were going for like a movie like Drive, if you remember from 2011 with the neon colors and stuff and the style of it. I kind of figured it was going on that level. Now we'll get into something that's kind of reminiscent of that the movie surprisingly does like that, but I had really no idea what this movie was going into it, so I avoided it. I went in completely blind, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
I actually, uh, as you know, the coronavirus being one of the biggest issues we're having, uh, everybody's going through, looking for, especially for people who like to review films. We're in the kind of level where we're desperately trying to find shit to watch. And this came up on my Voodoo account, and you said it was also in theaters. The theaters that do stay open, like we have a drive-in here that's open,
mhm.
and theaters throughout the country is open, and it was playing. So I was like, okay. I looked up, watched the trailers real quick. I was like, okay. Now the quality of the trailers in the movie are separate, because the quality of the trailers kind of had me going, ooh, I don't know. This looks kind of low budget, and it's kind of surprised me when I watched the movie. It's totally different from that. But I was like, okay, this is like kind of like Spring Breakers. I hope it ain't on that level, because honestly, I did not like that fucking movie at all. But I was just kind of intrigued with the whole Bonnie and Clyde. We see a lot of that. It's really unoriginal, but at the same time, I have a soft spot for it because you could do so much with that. I love those on the journey adventure type movies where the stakes are real high and vulnerability is real high. So I was like, okay, you know what, this might be fun, because there was some stuff in the trailers. I was like, you know what, this looks kind of cool. You know, I might give this a watch. And been pushing it off for a while, but this movie came out, I believe, in May or June. So it's been around for about a good month or so.
Yeah, it came out in
Uh,
June.
yeah, so we got kind of a late start here, but upon seeing it, and before I give my levels of thinking of the film, was I will say that I saw the critic scores on this and audience scores. The audience scores seem to be kind of in a middle ground mix, because it was almost 50-50. It's like a 48%. So I was like, okay, so it's going to be you either like it or don't like it. But the critic scores, holy shit, they were low. They're only like maybe 20% at best. Again, critics can be fucking biased on anything. So I'm not going to really care for them very much on their thoughts. So yeah, upon seeing the film and some of the hatred I've heard about it, I will say that while it has flaws, I don't see the hate for this movie. I actually thought it was pretty decent. It's okay. I actually was impressed with a lot of it, but there was a lot of flaws as well with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I the movie wasn't great by any means, but it essentially, was it had a lot more it had a lot of good things going for it that I actually kind of liked. And given for what it's worth, I thought it was decent, but it's nothing really to write home about, but I appreciate what they were going for, if that makes sense. Now to
And
get my
there's I will get in my pros that I think fits really well and what maybe kind of look at the movie a little bit better than a lot of people did that I felt like a lot of people missed. I'll get into that in a second, but get into the pros real quick. I will say that I liked Bella Thorne. I thought she was really good. Uh, I liked her I mean the performance by her and everybody is good in this film until we get to like the later I'll talk about that in my cons. But when we follow her and this guy, I forgot the actor's name. I'm not really familiar with the actor. He kind
Jake Manley.
he kind of looks like a Sam's Choice version of Emil Hirsch. If
Yeah,
you,
I was gonna say they kind of look like him.
anyways, I thought their chemistry. I thought they both did well. Their chemistry was great. I did like Bella Thorne's uh, the way her character was written about how she's like this girl. They both come from broken homes. I like that, and that they kind of link together and would make more sense together. And hers is about not only her problems at home, but the fact that she's got this addiction to social media and she wants to be known by something. She wants to be famous for something.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the route they take is pretty much the Mickey and Mallory type of way of going through crime. And I like the whole thing. She's addicted to that. That's kind of neat in my opinion.
Yeah,
It kind of volumes of today, which will be another pro I'll get into here in a second, which has a lot to do. Actually, I'll go into it now since I'm on the subject. I like the social commentary behind this film. I think it fits for 2020. Um, the whole being addicted to social media, doing crazy shit for likes. They're young, and with this whole protesting and a lot of crazy shit's been going on throughout the world, where people are getting it like a lot of views just so they can go around and watch videos of people actually hurting and shooting people in the protests and stuff. And people are doing shit crazy. I've seen videos many times of all these protests going around, and I felt like its social commentary matches this movie quite well of the world we live in, how we glorify violence. Like we look at violence, we're like, you start seeing the parts where they're doing all the crazy shit, and you start seeing people like, yeah, yeah, kill them motherfuckers, hell yeah, slaughter the
yeah.
pigs, like that and all
It's
that. It fits today, is what I'm trying to say. I
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I can agree. Like I agree with you on some of my pros. I do like the whole kind of feel. It's in a polite way, while it's nowhere near as high end and as great as this movie I'm going to compare it to, it does try to do some elements from Natural Born Killers, how it's basically getting the media's attention. And in this case, it's social media instead of like the news and stuff. It's basically how they're attracting the people as they go along with views and everything. And it basically becomes a good social message about how people just eat that shit up. And I actually like that they took with that approach. While they could have explored some other areas with it, it still does it pretty well for what they were going for. And I got to admit too, the performances from the cast I thought were decent. Bella Thorne I think it stands out the best because I don't know if it was just me, but her voice and the way she kind of acts, I guarantee if she kind of comes across like a young Sandra Bullock in a way, like her voice, like at times I thought she sounded just like her. I was like, is that fucking Sandra Bullock's daughter or something? Because it sounds kind of like her, but in a good way because she has like the kind of it's like something that she's like a young version of her, so to speak. And she carries this movie pretty well, given for her being obsessed with like the social media and stuff, and just not caring about certain things going along. And while it does get pretty contriving toward the third act, which I'll get into my cons with, you still really
Uh,
buy of what she would do in this case.
Yeah, she's just a teen that is I buy it. I buy a dumb young teenager taking stupid ways. I like that because it's another social commentary pointed out. Teens doing stupid shit to get famous. We had the Tide Pod thing, and people eating Tide Pods to become famous. The condom snorting thing. So in a way, it's like another teenager saying, "I'm going to use violence so I can get famous." You know, it's stupid ways. I like that little poke and jab. I think a lot of people didn't see that, and that's why the movie got criticized. Because a lot of reviews I saw were just pointing at its generic and just, oh, it's just about two people that kill. No, feel like there's some hidden shit in this film that a lot of people were missing, in my opinion. So, but anyways, yeah. Getting into, I did like. I will say that there were some pretty bloody parts in this film that kind of surprised me, especially that third act. Even though I still got some problems with third act, the gunshot wounds are pretty fucking authentic in this film that were done well. And another thing I will say that despite the trailers I was bitching about, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that the movie felt very theoretically looked. Like the cinematography was great in this film. The trailers kind of made it look more low budget than what we were given. So that trailer didn't help scare people. You know, it scared a little people away. Like, oh my god, this looks like somebody did. I don't get the look of the trailer and look at this film. Why it looks so different? I don't know. It felt kind of weird. But the movie came off. I thought the cinematography was great in this film. I thought
Yeah, I did.
the look to it was great.
Yeah, I agree too. I especially like the Florida settings and a lot of the areas they're driving through and stuff. And especially when they get into like lower other parts, like when they get to Oklahoma and places like that. Just the overall look of the movie. It has a good like blend of that brightness that I enjoy. And another appreciation, my biggest pro that I have the most is surprisingly enough, and this is a good compliment, so to speak. It has a score that's very reminiscent of Drive that I really like. That kind of like 80s style kind of synthesized type of music, but it done
Yeah.
for more for modern, like modern times. It feels like it could go with like hand to hand with Drive. Now, granted, I love Drive score better. That's a far better movie, but I'm just saying it's on a similar level to that.
Yeah, the score was really good in this film. I agree with you. It's if you have surround sound, take advantage of this movie because I felt like the whole surround sound gave you the big experience compared to if you just watched off regular TV. I don't think you would have that good of experience. Something like me having a big surround sound theater system really helped, rock the movie, so to speak. I ended up loving the score in this film, and like you were saying earlier, it's nowhere near as good as like Natural Born Killers, uh, on almost every aspect. It still is good on its own merits. And while I think Natural Born Killers did so well of its time in the 90s, where the media was the only outsource that you can get control of, I liked how this film decided to take that approach. Say, okay, we're going to do what now today is known as social media. Where
Yeah,
I like that diff on that. But anyways, I did like the whole journey um where she's what I really liked about this film I thought was different from those other films, including Natural Born Killers. I did like the part where because Dean, or the boyfriend she meets, he was kind of like a criminal in the past, and he got charged for armed robbery, went to prison long ago, and he doesn't want. He starts going kind of teach her a little bit how to do it. I liked how the story progressed where she was getting addicted and he was getting scared of her because she was out of fucking control. She was really taking control of it. And he starts losing control. I like that aspect. That was a good kind of like a neat twist instead of just becoming your standard Bonnie and Clyde. There's parts where he partakes in shit, but then he's like looking at her like, whoa, you're getting addicted to this shit. Oh, we got 5 million views, and then he's trying to tell her, we got to calm the fuck down here. We got, a lot of shit, and you just got us caught pretty much because of this shit. We got to slow it down. What does she do? He goes to sleep. She takes the car and fucking still starts fucking capping people and fucking doing shit on her own. And she comes back to all fucked up and shit. And he's like, fuck, you guys in more shit. I like that whole change of aspect in the story where
yeah,
he's not trusting her.
I thought that was a good
Short
change up.
Yeah, it's short lived, unfortunately. And I would have maybe liked maybe if they would have turned on each other. That would have been kind of something different we've never seen before. That probably would have been a better script if they would have went that direction. Because you do see the sense of, he's not liking what he's seeing. But then they kind of forget that a little bit, and they kind of she pretty much talks them into we're like Bonnie and Clyde, and they kind of forget that hatred towards one another, and they just go back to doing shit together again, like they were at the beginning. So, I like how all the colorful looks she was looking like the very neon kind of emo-ish shit changes she was doing. I was kind of questioning why that fucking dude would never change his haircut, let alone before they knew who they were, they could have avoided a lot of shit aside from her putting on the social media if he didn't he might have wanted to change his hair. That kind of throws them in, how they got caught because he was already a known armed robber in the past, so it was easy to match him in the system.
Yeah,
I was kind of questioning why he did hair in the movie. But yeah, there ain't much more we could go. The journey is kind of neat, how they get into dilemmas and shit. Because the whole goal was to go to California and maybe blow this off. I like the dumb decisions they're making because it makes more sense because they're kids and you can't expect them to be as smart as he. So you can't really bitch about the stupidity they were getting into because really that makes sense. Kids today would be that fucking retarded and do shit, in my opinion. So yeah, with that being said, I can't really think of anything else. It's a pretty out there, just straightforward movie. So getting my cons. I got to really complain about the third act. I liked how all right, let me tell you what I liked about it first. I did like how they did the pain and gain thing where it starts off where they're in some shit and then it goes and starts it over. I love the format of that. So you feel like you're watching that big format. My problem is it's not the bank robbery per se they do at the end that initially fucks everything up, and you'll see in the movie. But the people that they run into that they needed, really, it just came so quick. Like that guy he went to prison with was so fucking over the top. And really, on the acting problem I said earlier, that guy was too over the top for the movie. He kind of threw a monkey wrench towards that end.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's like it was not only like he really felt like he stood out the most from the rest of the film, the way he was like kind of, well, I want to say in little terms, chewing scenery, the way he was acting, and it also didn't help that some of the choices that they make in this final conclusion, I felt really could have been better off played each other off with a better script, the way that it was going with, like you were saying earlier.
Well, my problem is why couldn't the movie just not follow them making this upping up their game and trying to do a bank robbery where initially they get fucking in trouble and caught or whatever happens at the end? Why do they need to find a dude that he knows and then now you got this new crew that's in the movie where you're following a Bonnie and Clyde. It's like Bonnie and Clyde needing fucking help. And that's where I kind of was like, that was a bad choice when they decided, because this dude is, like you said, he's very egoistic in his scenes. And the fact that they go in that bank and it's covered and he's not was the fucking, all right, I can see a teen doing stupid shit, but this guy's a lot older and he walks into this bank all fucking like not even hiding his face while everybody else is. It's like, what's the point in that? This guy bitches about being caught. Oh, you better not put my place on social media, get caught and go to prison. But he walks to a fucking bank that has cameras and doesn't even hide his face. So this part particular, that was kind of like a bad third act per se. However, I did like the whole, where the shit gets really rough and then you get to the end, And I did like that kind of social commentary thing where she walks out and everybody's cheering out where she's being handed out. I kind of like that. She's seeing in her head that she's famous.
Yeah.
That's all she cares about. Her fame does get him caught. I like that whole ending. The word term of her want to be famous is what closes it off and gets them initially busted.
It does. It does make sense with that regard. So I I give them credit for that, but yeah, like you're saying, the way that the third act just plays into it, it feels very like we stepped into a different movie all of a sudden. It was just like, did we really have to go this direction? You know, it felt like it did a nosedive into somewhere completely different.
I
You know,
wanted more. It would have just been him and her trying a bank robbery for the first time, and it ends up failing. I would have bought that more. Why do you need these extra characters, really? In my opinion, I don't get it. I guess it was a form of direction because they were on their way to Hollywood. There's a way you could have worked around that. Like, say they ran out of money when they left all their money in that one place, so they choose to do one more score, and then that's when everything hits the fan. They could have done it like that. Personally, they didn't really
yeah,
need a destination of continuation of meeting somebody he was in prison with, and then it becomes like a fucking like a knockoff of Heat. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about all this, but
yeah.
but
There,
anyway,
uh,
actually, over I didn't mind this movie. I will say that personally, and I'm going to compare it because there's a lot of looks of the film, and with how the young generation acts in the film, it resembles. I find this movie more watchable by miles compared to Spring Breakers. I'm sorry, I don't see why Spring Breakers got a both 90% audience and critic score. I really don't. I will never know because that movie was fucking unwatchable.
yeah,
So I will say it's better than fucking Spring Breakers. Makes more sense. Wasn't over the fucking top like Spring Breakers was way over the top. It just
yeah.
was so
There,
fucking stupid. You didn't help that half the script it's got James Franco basically saying the same line, "Spring Break," and that's literally half the script. I get it, you run Spring Break, you dumb motherfucker. But anyways, that's another movie I'll talk about in the future possibly. But yeah, I thought this was a far better movie than Spring Breakers. So with that
yeah. I
being
have.
said, I'm gonna give it a little soft spot because it's still watchable, and I did have some little bit of fun with it. I'm gonna give this a high average Joe on the film Freaks Banner.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I will say that not going to spoil anything. There is a part where some of the effects they used for some of the gunshots were a bit CGI'd. I kind of had an issue with, but that's just more of a minor thing.
But I liked some of it wasn't some of it in my opinion wasn't all that bad in the first half. Maybe in that part where the bank thing went down, yes. Um, I did like there was one scene I will say that I kind of left out. I wish I would have brought it. I'll just bring it up real quick. One other pro I forgot to mention. I did kind of like the whole where she's starting to see nightmares, see things of shit she's doing. Like
Yeah,
that part was kind of like where everybody's like handing her money, but they all had bullet holes and are still alive, indicating all the victims. I like that. That was kind of a neat twist.
that
It
that
gave
was
her
kind of
more
cool.
something
Yeah, yeah.
kind of fucked up. Like I said, it's a high average Joe for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going with High Average Joe too because I feel like the movie did have some good things that it was going in for it, and that social commentary they were going for, I thought got it up, held it together with the overall movie because it felt like this is a movie that was definitely needed for the times that we live in now. And so for those of you who have also seen Infamous, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it, and stay safe. And we'll see you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Better.